So, I think we're live. Are we live, Jerome?
Oh, you're live. Welcome back to more GA23. I'm falling on my... Oh, what are happening now? Yeah.
I had a cough, so we didn't. So, welcome back to GA23. The podcast that is the companion to General Assembly 2023, hosted here in the Netherlands. And I one of the hosts, Martin Elizabeth. I'm with EJ.
Yes, here I am. Van As.
Well, it's spelt Van As, but pronounced Fun Us.
Correct.
Fun Us. It's the theme for today.
Yeah,
Fun Us.
And we have
fun now.
We have a special guest. You are the only. I don't know why I'm going.
Who is it?
You're going to go like this, so it braces it up. Does that cause a problem with the camera there, Jerome? Yes, it does. You need me to go like this? It's okay. Second only special guest. I mean, we're messing it up as we're going along. So we have, not Sam Walker, Sam Rowling?
Yes.
Sam Roland.
Yes.
Sam Roland, special guest from Canada. Interesting fact, I have had more conversations with Canadians than any other nation within this General Assembly. And I have had more invites to Canada than any other nation at this General Assembly.
Well, let me add to it. You're invited. Come and see us.
Apparently you've got a
I've
general
been now.
conference
How many times to Canada, and I haven't been
To my place.
to Vancouver.
I know, but Canada's so huge. It's like all of Europe in one country.
Yeah, and you all live in igloos, right?
We do, and I have a team of dogs that pulls my sled when I go places. It's pretty fantastic.
We had a few jokes over that one before.
Very eco-friendly.
What are you doing?
What am I, for the last 30 years, I've been traveling all around the world sharing hope with young people, because sometimes when we feel super alone and our life falls apart, we actually forget that we could have a future life, that we could have some meaning and some purpose and even some fun. And so a big part of my job is just telling young people that their creator loves them, that he wants to know them, that he wants to walk with them, that he has life for them, and that they have hope in a future. Mm-hmm. It's been a great adventure.
But you sing. That's basically what you do. You sing, you talk,
It's a combination.
Interactive.
Yeah, I use music and I use storytelling, and I've written a couple of books that we also give out to the young people to share our faith with them, get them up on stage, interactive video, all kinds of stuff. I have a super short attention span, like it's about 3 minutes long. And so I could never just stand there and talk for 45 minutes because I wouldn't want to put someone through that. So every 3 minutes, I'd change it to something else, from a song to a story to a video clip to a joke to an audience interaction.
Yeah.
Keeps things moving.
Where have you been? You only go to Africa, right?
No. I've actually been to almost everywhere except Australia and New Zealand. That little corner of the world I have not been to. But Europe, Southeast Asia, South America, North America, Africa. Yep.
Yeah.
Haven't been to Antarctica yet.
Oh,
One of these days.
one of these days.
Yeah.
Or Mars.
Yeah, I haven't been to Mars yet.
I can just throw that one in, or Mars. Let me give you an achievable goal for your OKRs for 2024. I would like to include Mars as one of the destinations where they're to pioneer Youth for Christ. If you could take a team to Mars, says EJ, and we'll pioneer. We'll see if we can get FTN to write up some funds for that. We'll put an application in.
For a Mars outreach.
Yeah, if you could nip over and make a video.
It's a one-way ticket. Remember, it's a one-way ticket at this stage.
So, Sam, we decided that we didn't know each other, even though I was convinced that I'd seen you in Italy.
Well, it's great that you have wonderful memories of the time we never met.
I know.
That's unusual.
And you were amazing. You're gifted in the musical department, and that guitaring that you did,
You never saw?
It was next level.
Amazing.
That you never did. Yeah. Best guitar ever, in the words of Jack Black.
Yeah, that's right.
So ministry, so Canada, music, outreach, and all those different things.
Yes.
How's it changing? So you were talking about a ministry and the time that you've been in ministry. We haven't talked about it yet, but we've had a conversation. You've been in ministry a while.
Yes.
Is it changing so much that a guitar is no longer relevant?
I would say that everything is changing. and nothing is changing. And the reason I would say that is because styles change and music changes and communication techniques and, of course, technology changes hugely. But people want to be loved. People want to know that they are valuable, that there's at least one person in this whole wide world that cares whether they live or die. And honestly, as a teenager, I thought that no one cared if I lived or died, and I was planning on dying, and I was making plans to do that. And in the very midst of that is when our Creator reached out to me, and when no one should have ever loved me, when I couldn't love myself, He poured His love over me. And that was the beginning of a change. And it's like, I discovered a new kind of love that day, because the only kind of love I knew is you can be loved if you're cool, if you're tough, if you're good looking, if you're rich, if you're good at sports. I was none of those things. And I didn't even love myself.
Oh, dear.
And so on the most unlovable night of my life, He poured His love over me.
Amazing.
And I think that today's young people deserve the same opportunity to be loved in the same way.
Yeah.
You go, when you visit all these nations, I know one of the things that you always do is you visit, can I talk about it, prisons?
Sure, absolutely.
Talk about it.
Yeah, actually, prisons are one of the most powerful opportunities that we have, because people are not pretending anymore. They're not pretending they have it all together. They're very honest about where they're at with their lives. And interestingly enough, I wrote a book called 10 People, about the 10 most amazing people I've ever met in my travels around the world. And a couple of those 10 people are or were prisoners. And I was in Rwanda, and I had a translator, and we were in a huge prison in Kigali, about 1,000 inmates. And the translator was this super well-dressed, super confident, super joyful guy. And I assumed, okay, he's a pastor or he's a Christian businessman. I hadn't even met him. They just threw us on the stage together and we started. And after it was over, I said, so are you a pastor or are you a Christian businessman? What's the story? He looked at me and said, Sam, I don't think you understand. I'm one of the prisoners here. And I was so shocked, because his whole countenance was life and joy and, And so I said to him, how long have you been here? He said, 12 years. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was what he said next. I said to him, how long until you get to go free? And he said, Sam, I don't know, and I don't care. Because if I stay here the rest of my life, I get to be free. If they let me out tomorrow morning, I get to be free. So either way, I am free. And then the guard came, and we said goodbye, and he was escorted back to his cell, and I got in a car and drove to a nice hotel. And all the way back, I was thinking to myself, that man is more free than I am. Mm-hmm. And so my dream is to be as free as that man, to have that kind of freedom.
It is interesting. One of the scariest things about traveling is the people that we meet and the way that they inspire us, the way that they change the way that we perceive. People say, oh, it changes the way I think. I'm like, no, it doesn't change the way you think. It changes the way you perceive the world around you. It changes the way that you look at people and value people very much. And yeah, a short mission trip, a long mission trip, it's just always impacting you.
Yeah. And one of the things I want to take just a moment to talk to the folks who are watching or listening right now, and that is, in all these different countries, like I just came back from Malawi, and before that was Kenya, but in all these countries, there are these amazing, incredible people who are actually superheroes. And I've got a very strong feeling that many of the people listening are these kind of superheroes, right? And nobody's making a TV show about you. Nobody's putting you on the front of a magazine or whatever. But in the kingdom of God, you are incredible, and you are a powerful person who's changing lives. So I just want to encourage the people listening. Maybe nobody's making a fuss about you, but God's making a fuss about you. And I remember once we were mixing cement, building a church in Peru, and this lady with one eye came up to us, and she had an empty margarine container in her hand. And I thought she was a beggar. And I was like, I'm embarrassed to say this, but I was like, oh man, she's going to scare everybody because she's got a big black hole where her eye's supposed to be, and she's going to beg, and we might as well forget it. We're finished. And while I was busy judging her, she walked between all of us, didn't hold the margarine container out to anybody, walked over to the pile of sand and scooped up a margarine container of sand. And this lady was like 80 at least, in her 80s. And she walked over to where they were mixing the cement, and she dumped the sand from a margarine container into the pile, then walked over to the gravel and scooped up gravel. She wasn't there to take, she was there to give. And when all of us we'd been doing it for like 6 hours, we were all exhausted. And when we saw her, though, we had a new strength and a new power, because it's like, if she can do it, we can do it. And then we all jumped back on the job and finished the job. And then I looked around and this lady was just gone. And I never met her. I don't know her name. I can only tell you about the experience. But I've told at least 100,000 people about this lady, and she doesn't even know that she changed our lives by the simple example of, instead of thinking of all the reasons she couldn't serve God, like she's old, she's poor, she has a hole where her eye's supposed to be, instead of all the reasons she can't serve God, she thought of the one reason she could, and that's God's giving her an opportunity. So I want to ask the people out there, would you join me? Because I'm going to just take my margarine container and give it to God. That's all I've got. I'm not as smart as other people. I'm not as good looking. I'm not nearly as good.
Why do you look at me for good looking? I'm not the good looking one.
But my point is, we've all got a margarine container, and would we just give our margarine container away to God and let Him look after the rest?
You talked about the book that you write. Is it available? How do you use that book?
Yes. So there's actually 2 books now, because during the pandemic, I couldn't travel. So I wrote a second book called On the Edge of Incredible. And then we've worked with about 35 countries around the world, translating the book and printing it in their own countries. So if you're one of the Youth for Christ countries that we've printed the book in, then you can certainly get it from your national director, because it's printed in your country. But my website is samroland.com, which is SAMROWLAND. And so if you want to write to me, I can certainly send you a soft copy over the internet.
We do have your email address that you gave me. Can we share that with the people?
Yeah.
We're going to share that with the people right now on the screen, and they will be able to see it right now. I've already given it to the technician.
Yeah, so if you email me, I'll send you a soft copy right away. That's super easy to do.
But, okay, now they have the book. Only YFC people must read it, or do we pass it on?
Well, the wonderful thing about the book is it's a super easy, no-pressure way for you to share your faith with people. Because you can say, hey, I've got this book, and actually there's schools and prisons and organizations and even companies where they've taken boxes of the books and they just hand them out to people as a way to share their faith. Because people can read it or not read it on their own time, and there's no pressure. But both books are sort of very down-to-earth ways of sharing the gospel.
People want you to come to their nation. You willing to do that?
I really am. It's getting hard to fit everything in, because I'm not getting any younger, so I'm not spending quite as much time on the road as I used to. But I'm doing 2 to 3 major overseas trips a year. I used to do like 4 or 5 or 6. Now it's down to 2 or 3.
So do we need a Sam Roland replacement? Soon?
It's interesting that you say that, because when I was in Kenya 6 months ago, a young man came up to me. His name is Jay. And he came up to me and said that he grew up in a slum as an orphan, and he was basically addicted to drugs, alcohol, and pornography. Someone gave him the book On the Edge of Incredible. He read the first half and thought, this is the dumbest, most boring book I've ever read in my life. It doesn't connect with me. I don't understand it. Nothing about this makes sense. And then suddenly on page 73, his words, not mine, the scales fell off my eyes. I understood what this is all about, and God completely transformed me. And so now he is working with another organization, not Youth for Christ, but a parallel organization. And he's going to schools all across Kenya and in the surrounding countries using music and storytelling to share his faith with them. So that's pretty exciting for me.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
So if people want to get a hold of you, that email address that's probably down there somewhere below me.
Yeah.
You can look at it and
You can send me a
and
message.
send a message and talk to Sam, and he can work it out with you.
And 100%, I will pray about coming to your country. And if the Lord gives me the green light, then we'll see you soon.
I must say that your ministry is good, because I've been your sound man for a few times. And,
You sure have.
And traveled with you. We did some good travels.
We had
all
some
over, yeah.
fantastic trips.
And so I can really say that it is a ministry that young people love. You transform a school. You go in, they look at us and they go, wow, what are these guys going to do? And then suddenly they're all over you. And at the end, you can't get finished because everybody wants your signature. And
The funny thing is like when I started, when I started to become in my 40s and stuff, I thought, oh, I'm getting too old for this. I'm not cool. I'm not tough. I'm not fun. I'm not good looking. I'm nothing, right? But what I found out is people just want to be loved.
yeah.
And there's a lot of young people in high schools that are right where I was, where I lost my family fell apart, my mom moved away with my brother and sister, I stayed with my dad, I was empty and broken heart. I just needed a father figure, right? And so I found out that now that I'm even 60, these kids, they just want to be loved. They just want to be cared for. They need a papa, right? They just need someone that cares for them and isn't trying to take something for once in their life. Because so much of what we call love in our society is just people trying to, in a undercover way, take something from somebody, either your money or your time or whatever. And Jesus came to give. He wasn't coming to take, he was coming to give. And so my goal is to be so full of life and love and hope that it's just pouring out of me. And I don't need to take anything because the Lord's already given me everything I need. So
if you want to reach Sam, just look down here and you'll find the email address, and you can contact him. And maybe not this year. Well, definitely not this year. This year's over almost. 2024, 2025, 2026.
Yeah.
Start planning now.
Exactly.
And you can talk to him and maybe even catch some tips, because you've got a lot of things to do.
Sure, absolutely. And I do, maybe there's a few people listening where I've been to your country, whether it's, Myanmar, Burma, Hungary, somewhere in South America. And I just want to say hello, and it's great to see you again.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you for coming in. It was good to have you here. It was a good time. Though you two met before in Italy, we have met in Africa.
Very similar.
Thank you very much for your time, and may God
appreciate
bless you in your ministry.
Thank you.
Thank you.